Hariam girls. So in the Python programming course, we are currently talking about the second module topics, functions, modules and exception handling. In our previous session, we talked about functions, in which we had covered what is a function, how do you define a function, how do you call a function, and we had seen a sample program, that is whether two characters like IES is in front of a string. If not, we add those two characters and return the string. Then we had also seen that the parameters and variables defined inside a function will have only local scope. So the example also we had seen. Then one very important point to be considered in function is the arguments, how data can be passed into functions as arguments, and what are the different ways of passing the arguments, right? What are the different types of arguments we can say, or we can say what are the different ways of passing the arguments to the function, in which we talked about the required arguments, which we are very much familiar with our C, C++, Java programs, where there should be one-to-one correspondence between the formal arguments and the actual arguments. So if the number of arguments and the order of arguments are not matching, obviously we will get a type error. Then we had seen the keyword arguments. The keyword arguments will have key value pair syntax in the actual arguments. And we had seen an example of how keywords can be given so that the order of the arguments does not matter. Then we also talked about the default argument. So if you want to give a default value to a particular argument, right? Or if the value of an argument is missing, I want to give a default value. In that case, let us use a default parameter. And we know that the default parameter must be mentioned at the end of the argument list. That also we had discussed in our previous session. If not, it will give you again an error. Then the last one is the variable length arguments. Sometimes it is also known as positional parameters, right? So in the variable length arguments, what we do is we give a star in the variable so that it becomes a tuple, and this tuple can receive any number of arguments. So first time when you call the function, it is going to have only 3 arguments, and the second time you can pass to the function 5 arguments, you can pass 10 arguments, any number of arguments can be passed for that matter. The thing is, I am not going to give, in your C program, if I want to have 5 values to be passed, what we do, 5 different variables we will be declaring. Or if I want to pass 3 values, I will be declaring 3 3 arguments function. But here, because I have variable length arguments, you can pass any number of arguments when you call the function. So for achieving it, we use the star variable, and which is somewhat similar to your tuples. Then we had seen an example of how I can invoke the function by passing 2 arguments, by passing 5 arguments, but I am using only one function definition. Okay. So in this video, we are going to talk about the anonymous functions, and then we will also talk about the recursion. Anonymous function is somewhat an interesting function in Python. We call it as lambda function also. So this function is without a name. I am not going to use any name. I will be assigning this function to a variable wherever I want, and I will be using that variable as a function call. So when we require nameless function, just for a short period of time, we can use the lambda function. Say for example, if you have simple expressions to be evaluated, right? ഒരു power value കണ്ടുപിടിക്കണം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ you want to find out a plus b into c, or you want to find out like a into b plus c into d. അങ്ങനെ ഒരു simple expressions if you are going to have, you need not declare it as a normal function. Instead you can declare it as an anonymous function, or you call it as lambda function. So we can say lambda function is nothing but a small anonymous function. Why we call it as anonymous function? Because it is not going to have any name, and it is generally defined with the lambda keyword. And you can see here our normal functions are defined with keyword def, whereas the lambda functions are defined with keyword lambda. So these are the characteristics of lambda function. Before we get into the characteristics of lambda function, we will see an example. This is how we are going to declare the lambda function. We give the keyword lambda, then the arguments, any number of arguments, colon, expression. So the expression will be executed and the result will be returned by the lambda function. So single line function it is going to be. Don't think that it is somewhat similar to the inline function. It is not similar to the inline function, but here the lambda functions can be used in different ways, but it is used for having very small set of statements, or let me put it this way, generally when you have an expression, only one expression to be evaluated, then you can use the lambda function. Okay. So this is a very simple example of lambda function. You can observe, I am going to declare a function lambda. I pass the argument, that is the format, right? Lambda, then arguments, then expression. So you have lambda and I am passing only one argument a, and I am going to add value 10 to a. Okay, and I am assigning the whole function to a variable called x. So when I say x of 5, 5 will be taken for the variable a, and 5 plus 10 will be evaluated, and it will be returning 15 to variable x, right? So this is how this function works. You can see another example with two arguments. I use the keyword lambda, then I have a comma b, then I am multiplying a and b, and when I call this lambda function, you can observe I use this variable and I pass two values 5 and 6. So 5 will be taken for a, 6 will be taken for b, and we multiply this value, and that will be the result of this lambda function. And the same I am using for three variables. You can observe, just to show any number of arguments can be passed in the lambda function. I have a, b, c, then a plus b into c. Okay, so what it does, when I call the function, 5 will be taken for a, 6 for b, and 2 for c, and it will evaluate this expression, and the result will be returned in the print function, which will be printed here. This is what you call as the lambda function. Now let us go back to the characteristics of lambda function. The first one, lambda function can take any number of arguments, but it can take only one expression. So that is what you had seen here. It can take any number of arguments, but it is going to take only one expression. It can return only one value. Obviously, after evaluating the expression, it can return only one value, and it cannot be directly called in print function, right? But of course, that was in the earlier versions, but now you can directly call this lambda function. You can't call this lambda directly here just by having lambda here, but you assign it to a variable, then you can call that lambda function in the print function. And the lambda functions will use their own local namespace. Therefore, it cannot access variables other than their parameters and those in the global namespace. So this is the point to be noted. Here the lambda function will have their own local namespace. So in the local namespace, it can access only the arguments, whatever arguments you are declaring here. So this function can access the argument A. This function can access arguments A and B. This function can access arguments A, B, C. So only the parameters or the arguments that are declared here can be accessed. And apart from that, if we have any other variables in the global namespace, if we have any other variables or values declared in the global namespace, then that can also be accessed by the lambda function. Whereas it cannot have some variables, local variables, like if you want, see, in our normal function we have s is equal to 0. This is a local variable which is defined in this particular function. So this kind of thing cannot be done in the lambda function. You cannot have a local variable declared here. So it is having only their own local namespace. Therefore, it cannot access variables other than their parameters and the variables in the global namespace. And the function definition is obviously assigned to a variable, and using the variable only we invoke the lambda function. And please understand, it is not equivalent to inline functions of C++. So these are some of the characteristics of lambda function. We had seen this also. We had seen an example. Now, the interesting part of when we are going to use this lambda function, right? So the power of lambda function is in usage when we use these functions inside another normal function. So this is where the power of lambda function appears. I am going to show you an example here. I am defining a normal function. You can observe I am defining a normal function, and inside the normal function I have a lambda function. Observe here, I have a normal function using def keyword. Then I am declaring a lambda function inside the normal function, right? I return the value of this lambda function. Now you are going to invoke the normal function by passing 3, and this will be returning this particular value. So when it is returning, it is going to return a lambda function. So 3 power of becomes a lambda function. Lambda function somewhat similar to x. Or function return ചെയ്യുന്നത് തന്നെ x എന്ന് പറയുന്നിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു lambda function ആണ്. ഇവിടെ ഒരു function return ചെയ്യുന്നത് എന്താണ്? 3 power of എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് is a lambda function which is returned by a normal function called new val. Then you just invoke the 3 power of by passing some value. So which will give you the output 1331. So it will take 11 power 3. So 11 power 3 will be found by this normal function, which in turn use the lambda function. So this is where the lambda functions are mostly used in the Python programming. The better example is this one. You can observe the same function is now used for finding power of 2, 3, 4 and 5. You can observe the program. Same function. Suppose if you are writing a normal function, we have to use a different function. One function for finding the power 2, one function for finding power 3, one function for finding power 4. Like that I have to write 4 different functions for finding the value. Now what I have done, I have used the normal function and the lambda function combined together so that it gives me the flexibility of having different values for different expression evaluation. So the same function I am going to call with value 2, I call it with value 3, I call it with value 4, I call it with value 5, and it gives you different output also, right? So this is the advantage of using the lambda function. So whenever you have simple expressions which are to be evaluated with different values, then you can use that lambda function, use that expression in a lambda function, embed it in a normal function, and you can invoke it as you invoke a normal function. So that is the advantage of having the lambda function inside a normal function. Now apart from this, right, so this is one power of lambda. We had seen how lambda can be used inside the normal function. Okay, the same way lambda function can also be used within built-in functions also. So these are three examples we are going to take. These are three built-in functions available: map, filter. This is not filter, it is filter. Let me correct it. So please make a note of it. Lambda functions can be used with built-in. The built-in ആണ്. Built-in functions. Let me correct. It is built-in filter. Map, filter, okay. So let us see how the lambda functions can be used along with these built-in functions like map, filter and reduce. Let us see map first. Map function we had already discussed when we talked about list functions. We had discussed map function. Map function takes a function as well as a list as arguments. So this is how it is going to take. It takes a function here. First argument will be a function and second argument will be a list, right? The map function takes two arguments. First argument will be a function, second argument will be a list, and this function will be applied on each and every element of the list, and it will be returning a list in the end, right? So whatever function I have here, this function will be applied. It will be applied on each element, and all these elements will be having a result because of this particular function, and the result will be again created as a list and it will be returned. That is the map function, right? Whatever function we have, it will be applied to all the elements of this list. Fine. Then we have filter function. The filter function takes a function and list as arguments, return a Boolean value. So here it is going to return a list, but here it is going to return a Boolean value. You can observe here I am having lambda and I am going to have it as a function. Then I am passing a list value also. So this function will be applied and it will be returning the elements where the function evaluates to true. I repeat, the filter function is applied to every element of the list and it will be returning the items for which the function evaluates to true. So this function ഏതൊക്കെ എലിമെന്റിനാണ് true എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ value return ചെയ്യുന്നു ആ എലിമെന്റ്സിനെ മാത്രമേ ഇത് return ചെയ്യൂ. Whereas here all the elements will be returned. Suppose if you have 5 elements here, the function will be applied to all the 5 elements and it will be returning 5 elements itself. Whereas in the filter function, what it does, the function will be applied to all the 5 elements and it will check whether the element returns true or not. If it is returning true, that will be given as the output. If it is not returning true, that element will be discarded. That is what the filter function will do. We will see the examples also. Okay. Then the last and interesting function which can be used in the lambda function is the reduce function. it is used to apply the function to all of the list elements mentioned in the sequence here. So the function, this function will be applied to all the elements in the sequence. And this function is defined in a module called function tools. This is the module name. So you have to import this module, only then I can use the reduce function. Let us see how this reduce function works. At first step, first two elements of the sequence. Or a list undangle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or a list undangle, it is going to take first two elements of the list and it will be picked and the result will be obtained. The function will be applied for the first two elements. Okay. Then next step is to apply the same function to the previously attained result. If the first two elements edutittu oru result kittitundallo, aa result and the next succeeding element to edutittu again the process will be applied. So this process will be continued until no more elements are left in the sequence or in the container. And the final result, final returned result is returned and printed on the console, right? So when we see an example, I think we can come back again and we will discuss the how it works. So this is the example for all the three built-in functions. Map function. So here you can observe I have a old list value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and the lambda function is nothing but whatever argument you are going to pass, you want to find out the x square. X double star 2 means it is x power 2. So this x power 2 function will be applied to all the elements of old list. So x square of 1, x square of 2, x square of 3, x square of 4, x square of 5 will be found and a new list will be created and this will be assigned to new list. And you can observe when I type, when I print it, old list is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and the new list will be 1 square, 2 square, 3 square, 4 square and 5 square. Okay. So this is how it is going to work with the map function. Now the second one is filter function. In the filter function you can see again I have the old list and this is the new list to be created. And how it works, it is going to apply this function to all the elements here. It applies this function to all the elements here. Only the elements which return true as its value will be added to the new list. Okay, so let us see what is the function here. You want to find out x mod 2 equal to 0. That means even numbers, right? You want to find out the even numbers. So it will apply x mod 2 to 1. 1 mod 2 is not equal to 0. So that element will not be considered. Whereas 2 mod 2 will be equal to 0. So 2 will be considered in the new list. Then 3 mod 2 is not equal to 0. So it is going to return false. So it will not be considered. Then 4 mod 2 is equal to 0. So obviously it is an even number. So it can be considered in the new list. That will be returning true value. In case it will be returning true value. Then 5 mod 2 equal to 0 is false. So obviously 5 will not be included in the list. So when you try printing the old list and new list, the output will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the old list. And in the new list, only the even numbers will be taken, 2 and 4. So this is how the filter function works with the lambda function. Now the last one is your reduce function. As I told you, the reduce function is available in the function tools. It is available in the function tools module. So we need to import the function tools module. And I call it as, I am using an alias here. We had already discussed how to import the package, how to install a package in your Python, then how do you import it in your program. So this is how we import it, right? Importing is nothing but including the libraries of this particular package in your program. So all these libraries will be hereafter called as FT with an alias name. I am having an old list. I have 1, 3, 5, 61, 2, 8, 9, and I am going to use the reduce function to compute sum of list. And you can observe here, reduce function lambda function two arguments I am passing, a comma b. Whenever you pass two arguments, it is going to return the sum of two arguments. Okay. Now how it works actually, when I call the reduce function on this list, it will first take 1 and 3. Sum of 1 and 3 will be returned. Appo 1, 3 in pagaram 4 nillathu return chedu. 1 plus 3, 4. So next time again reduce function will be calling this lambda function with 4 and 5 as a comma b. So 4 plus 5, 9 will be returned. Then the third iteration 9 comma 61 will be invoked. So a will be 9, b will be 61. So 9 plus 61 will be 9 plus 61 will be obviously 70. Then 70 will be returned. Then 70 plus 2, 72 will be returned. Then 72 plus 8 will be returned. Then 80 plus 9 will be returned. So you will get 89 as the last value of reduce function. So this is how reduce function works. Okay. Now you go back how it works. At first step, first two elements of the sequence will be picked. First two elements either 1 and 3 will be picked and it applies this function. Okay. Then next step is to apply the same function to the previously attained result. What is the previously attained result? 1 plus 3 is 4. That is the previous attained result. And the number just succeeding the second element. What is the number just succeeding the second element? It is 5. So 4 plus 5 will be found. And the result will be again stored. So this process is continued until no more elements are there in the list. Okay. Now here again you can find out another reduce function which is used to find out the maximum element from the list. So what you do here, I am using a lambda function a comma b. If a is greater, I am going to return a, else I am going to return b. A will be returned if a greater, otherwise b will be returned. Upon what it will do, it will take 1 and 3, which is greater here, 3 is greater, so 3 will be returned. The next time 3 and 5 will be compared, which is greater, 5 is greater, so 5 will be returned. Then 5 and 61 will be taken, then 61 is greater, it will be returned. Then 61 and 2 will be compared, 61 is again greater, so 61 will be returned. Then 61 and 8 will be compared, again 61 is maximum, so that will be returned. Then again 61 and 9 will be compared, 61 is the greater one, so 61 will be returned. So the maximum element of the list is actually 61. So this is how the reduce function works. So that is what it says. In the first step, it takes the first two elements and the function will be applied. The next step is to apply the same function to the previously attained result. This is the previously attained result and the number just succeeding the second element, and the result will be again returned and stored. And this process will be continued until no more elements are left in the container. And the final returned result is returned and it is printed on the console if you use it inside a print function. Okay. So this is how reduce function works along with the lambda function. Okay. So that is the wonderful advantage of having lambda function inside built-in functions as well as in a normal function. So wherever you have simple expressions to be evaluated, declare it as a lambda function, and if you want to have various values for that particular lambda function, declare it inside a normal function. And if you want to apply this lambda function over a list of values, you can use map, reduce, filter kind of built-in functions, so that you can apply the same function for all the elements of that particular list. That is the advantage of having lambda functions in user defined as well as in built-in function. And the last one is your recursive functions. All of you know how to use the recursive functions. I think recursive functions also I think I can complete, because we have very you had already covered what is a recursive function, how it works, etc. in your C and C++ program. So we will just browse through what is a recursive function. A function which is calling itself is what you call as recursive function. So this is how we define a recursive function. Here you can observe I define a function factorial, and this function is calling itself. Inside the function I call the function again, which you call as function calling itself, which is nothing but a recursive function. Okay. So this is a better example. You have already experienced the same example in other programming languages also whenever we talked about the recursion. Okay. So let us see how the recursive function works. And before that, the point to be noted, very important point to be noted in the recursive function is all the recursive functions must have a terminating condition. If it is not having a terminating condition, obviously it goes in infinite recursion. So in the factorial function, this is the terminating condition. This is the terminating condition. You can observe here. If n is equal to 1 is the terminating condition. Appo n equal to 1 avunna vare it is going to call itself. When n is equal to 1, it is going to return a value called 1. So this is one very important point to be noted in the recursive function. So if you have not given any terminating condition, obviously this function goes in the infinite mode. Okay. So if I give factorial of 5, so factorial of 5 in the parniti, if I am going to call the function, the first call it will be factorial of 5, and second call will be about what it will do. 5 is not equal to 1, so it will go for 5 into factorial of 5 minus 1, which is 4. Okay. Again it comes here, 4 is not equal to 1, so it again calls 5 into 4 into factorial of 3. And in the next call it is going to be factorial of 2 multiplied with 3, 4, 5. And in the last call it is going to be factorial of 1 multiplied with 2, 3, 4, 5. So when it reaches factorial of 1, what it does? 1 is equal to 1, so it is going to return 1. So this factorial of 1 will be returning value 1. So it will return, and 1 and 2 will be multiplied, 2 will be returned, 2 and 3 will be multiplied, 6 will be returned, and 6 and 4 will be multiplied, 24 will be returned, and 24 into 5 will give you 120. There it comes out of the recursive function. So this is how the recursive function works, provided if you have a terminating condition. So this is very important. And you can try this at your home. Let it be a homework. Find the sum of n natural numbers using recursion. Right. So this is a homework. Please take down. Oh, okay. I had already given the program. Recursive. Okay. This is not a homework. Please make a note of it. It is not a homework. This program is already given. So what I did, just if n value is less than or equal to 1, I am going to return n. Otherwise, I add it. I add that value with sum of n minus 1. Okay, and I am going to pass the value 16. So I want to find out the sum of values from 1 to 16. So here I just check whether the value passed is lesser than 0. If so, I prompt the user to say enter a positive number. Otherwise, I am going to recursively call the sum function by passing this number. So 16 will be passed. 16 is not less than or equal to 1. So it will go here, and 16 plus recursive sum of 15 will go, and 16 plus 15 plus recursive sum of 14, and so on until you get value equal to 1. So when it is equal to 1, it is going to return 1, and from there it comes back by adding all the natural numbers. It is very much similar to your factorial program. So in the factorial program we are multiplying it, whereas here we are going to find the sum of the natural numbers. Okay, so this will be the output for this particular program. Yeah, so this is the one you are going to try it yourself. You write a recursive program to convert a decimal number to a binary value using the recursion, right? So this is supposed to be the homework and not the previous one. Take down this homework also. A recursive program to convert a decimal value to binary using recursion. And the last topic in the functions, returning more than one value. If you see the programming languages like C, C++, Java, etc., we had experienced the functions will be returning only one value at a time. Okay, but in Python you can have more than one value can be returned. So this is one of the interesting part of Python programming. You can observe here I am defining a function. I am defining a normal function. It is not a lambda function, it's a normal function. I call it as calc and I pass two arguments A and B. I am going to find the sum of these two numbers, product of these two numbers, difference of these two numbers, ratio of these two numbers. Then I am returning all the four values. You can observe here, right? I am returning all the four values. Whereas in C, C++, we can return only one value. It can be an expression or it can be a single value. So you can, but here you can return more than one value separated by comma. And you can observe here, when I call this function, I am returning it to more than one variables, because I am returning four values here. So I am returning it to four different variables. I am returning it to four different variables. This is possible in Python program. And then you can just separate them as you want, and you are going to just display those values. So in Python you can return more than one value from a function. So this is a better example to be noted. So you need not worry about if you want to return more than one value, you need not create it as a tuple or you need not create it as a list. Instead you can directly pass them to the variables, multiple variables, because multi-variable assignment is possible in Python programming. When we talked about the basic elements, we discussed how the multiple values can be assigned to multiple variables, right? So because of that facility in Python, we can return more than one value from a function also. So that should also be noted here. So with that we are completing the functions topic in the second module. Thank you.